Guys, how's it going? Corey Margera here. Brand new episode of the Corey Margera Show. And in this episode, I'm gonna basically be doing my top 10 favorite metal albums. And it's and this list. Okay, first off, let me get a few things straight here, so there's no fucking confusion. If there's any stupid, dumbass motherfuckers who comment on this video and spam and leave all kinds of crap like, oh, you suck because you like new metal, or you don't like this and you don't like that. If there's any stupid metal elitist faggot pricks out there, they're getting blocked, and I'm not showing any fucking remorse. Alright? I want nothing but, constructive criticism, or like leave your comments. What are your favorite metal albums? Who are your favorite bands and stuff like that. That's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear any bullshit bitch nonsense of you suck, you like sellout bands, and you like the all right, just keep it going. Get the fuck off my channel, get the fuck off my video if you don't have anything nice to say. This is my opinion. These are my favorite albums. And I don't care what anyone else thinks, really. I really don't give a shit. Because this is, I'm a huge fan of different types of metal, not just one genre. I like death metal. I like melodic death metal. I love groove metal. I even like some new metal. Not rap new metal, but like just good new metal. With like a newer sound to it, a more, edgier sound, not like, kind of like, well, I'll tell you in the video. You'll find out in the video. I don't want to spoil any surprises or anything like that, but, I don't like rap metal or rapcore or anything that has to do with like rap and hip hop and metal. I don't like any of that shit, but I do like some new metal, not including like Limp Bizkit or anything like that, or Linkin Park, none of that shit. Even though I did kind of like, the Hybrid Theory album, and that's the only thing I kind of like from Linkin Park. I always thought they were a very overrated band, but, that's just my opinion, And, but I love, melodic, like I said before, melodic death metal, groove metal, industrial metal, different types of metal. So this is just going to include everything, every genre whatsoever that I like. And I kind of want to give some runners up before I kind of do this video, because some of these albums didn't make the list. There are a whole shitload of albums that I like, but that didn't make the list, and one of them is from one of my favorite bands, Killswitch Engage. It's As Daylight Dies. And I think this was their first album with Howard Jones as their lead singer, and replacing Jesse. But they're a great metalcore band. Some of my favorite songs from this album are like My Curse. What other songs were on that album? My Curse. Unbroken was a really great song. Daylight Dies was a great song. The Arms of Sorrow was pretty cool. There was like just a lot of really good songs on this album. Their lineup was I keep forgetting who was, because I don't really I haven't listened to Killswitch Engage in a long time, so I kind of forgot their lineup. But what's his name? He had some really great solos. If you listen to some of these songs, like if you listen to Unbroken, there's like a lot of really great solos. I know that Howard Jones, I heard he wrote a lot of the lyrics for a lot of the songs. This was a really great album. Holy Diver was another cool song off this album, but it was just like a lot of cool stuff on this album. Was Holy Diver on this album? I keep forgetting. No. But again, I mean, it's a great metalcore album if you're into metalcore. I definitely recommend it. Um, you know, and I also wanted to add, Slayer's. I'm not. This is not. It didn't make the list, but Slayer's "God Hates Us All" album, because I don't give a shit what anyone thinks. I wanted that to be a runner-up, and also "Rain and Blood," because that, to me, those are like two of my favorite Slayer albums. I love um, World Painted Blood, but and that was the last album with Jeff Henneman and what's his name before he got fired. But I just kind of wanted to put just mention a few other albums out there. I keep forgetting some of the names. But you know that was really God Hates Us All was definitely one of their most underrated albums. It gets a lot of shit because it's a new metal album, but it's actually, I really enjoyed it. There were a lot of great songs on it. From fucking Here Comes the Pain. Fucking God Send God Send Death. Just so many fucking great songs on that album. But there's a lot more too. Children of Bodom. You know, I really I thought Blood Drunk was very underrated, but I'm not gonna include that on the list. I liked Halo of Blood, which was one of their most recent albums. That was actually very good. They're a really good melodic death metal band. Um, so yeah, it's just like a few honorable mentions, and of course Fear Factory's, um, their Demechanized album. I really love that one. That was some really good industrial metal right there. I'm a huge Fear Factory fan. So there's just so many. Like honestly, I can't even like name all, because there's just like a lot of albums, and this top 10 list is just gonna be um just some of my personal favorites. So if your favorite band didn't make the list, um you know sorry, but this is just my opinion. And on that note, let's get started with number 10, and that is fucking Rob Zombie's Hillbilly Deluxe album. This was actually, and this is actually what got me into metal right here. This was a very good. This is back before Rob Zombie, got too corporate. This was definitely Rob Zombie's best album, in my opinion. I remember like getting into this album simply because of playing Twisted Metal 3. And, you know, Twisted Metal 3, anyone who's ever played that game knows that, Rob Zombie and Pitch Shifter, you know, added a lot to the soundtrack, to the game soundtrack. And, from just so many fucking badass songs, great anthems like Super Beast, Meet the Creeper. I love that one. There's just so many really great. Dracula. A lot of people love that one. It's a really cool. It's a really cool song. But I mean, I just really loved Super Beast and Meet the Creeper. That was really, those were like my two favorites. Those were just like my two favorite songs. I used to just like really fucking headbang to Meet the Creeper. That was just my fucking shit right there. I love that song. So, I definitely thought that was a great album. I remember when I first got this album too. This was actually one of my first albums I ever bought. Not just in metal, but music in general. I got it. I think was it 1999 when I got this album. I think it was either 1999 or 2000. No, 1999. Yeah, 1999. Because I remember because I got this album before I got my Sega Dreamcast. So that's basically I remember. I remember it now. Yeah, because I got it. This was 6th grade. and I got it before I ended up getting a Sega Dreamcast. I know that much. So, I remember it was like right after, I think it was like um it was like right after Thanksgiving, before Christmas, and I got this album because it had like a lot of songs, and I remember, and I wasn't even shopping for music that day. I just remember, I think I was trying to get Pokemon, because I was looking at Sonic Adventure, I was looking at Pokemon Yellow, and I ended up seeing this album, and I was like thinking, oh, holy shit, I remember these are this group, they're in Twisted Metal 3, and then I ended up buying this album because it was like cheap compared to video games. This album was cheap. It was like what, $15, I think. And I ended up getting this, and I was just jamming to it. It was just a really great kick-ass album. And it's definitely my favorite Rob Zombie album. So, yeah, it's really great industrial. I think, was Living Dead Girl on this album too? I remember, because I literally, I think Living Dead Girl was on this album too, and that was another kick-ass song right there. A lot of, it's just a great album. Um, and it's one of the albums that just really got me into, rock music, metal in general. So, yeah. Um, Next album on the list is Mudvayne's LD 50. This was just fucking sweet. I mean, I love this album. I'm looking at it right now because I actually own the album. And I used to own Rob Zombie's Hillbilly Deluxe album, but I just lost it. I lost my copy. I'm actually looking at Mudvayne's album right now, LD 50, and this was just the shit. This album was definitely my favorite Mudvayne album. Almost every song on this album was good. Almost every fucking song was badass. From Internal, Primates Forever. My favorite song off this album though was -1, and this was before Slipknot's -1 song came out. There's a song on this album that's called -1, and this was just a really, really great song in my opinion. I just, it was like it starts off nice and slow, and then it starts getting really, really fucking heavy. It's just like it's a really good song. I definitely, if you're into new metal, I definitely recommend this album, period, because it's just fucking awesome. um I remember getting this, and I didn't get this album when it first came out. I got it in high school because I knew a guy who was into like a lot of new metal, and one of the albums, he was listening to Mudvayne, Slipknot, Korn, a few other bands, and this was one of the bands he was listening to, and I listened to it, and I was just like, holy shit, this is really fucking brutal. This is fucking badass. So, yeah, I mean, this is a great album right here. Um, so yeah, that's basically it. And that's number 9. And number 8 is Pantera, the Great Southern Trendkill. This album is the shit. This Pantera is like one of the first groove metal bands I really got into. I mean, like, this entire album from top to bottom is fucking awesome. From the Great Southern Trendkill song itself, a lot of great anthems on this song. The Tens, War Nerve, that's one of my personal favorites. I love War Nerve. That's just a really brutal, heavy song. The Suicide Note songs, part 1 and part 2. Part 1, for those of you who've never heard of this, never listened to this album, Suicide Note Part 1 is a very, softer song. It's much more, more clean vocals, more, laid back, kind of alternative sounding, But Suicide Note Part 2 is fucking aggressive. I mean, this is just like real mosh pit, head banging shit right here. This Suicide Note Part 2 is fucking awesome. I love both Suicide Note Part 1 and Part 2, but I definitely prefer Part 2 because, I just love, you know, fucking aggressive head banging groove metal, man. It's like this is just, it's really heavy. It's really fucking brutal. Um, Suicide Note Part 1 was really good too because I could relate to the song. I definitely, it's a really, it's one of those songs that, like, if you're kind of in a down mood, like in a more like depressed kind of like, that it's a really, really good song. But yeah, I mean, the whole album is fucking great. Um, it's really, I definitely recommend it. It's personally my favorite Pantera album. I pretty much love. I don't want to say I love every Pantera album, but I love, a lot of them. I love Far Beyond Driven. But I mean, like, that's because one of my favorite songs from that album, Far Beyond Driven, is Broken. I love Broken. It's fucking Walk. That was another great. But I just personally like the Great Southern Trendkill because it's just, to me, it defines 90s, true 1990s groove metal right here. I mean, this, to me, that's just my opinion. So I definitely recommend it. If you're into groove metal, definitely, give this album a shot. Um, and number 7 on the list, lucky number 7, Sinner by Drowning Pool. God, I loved this album when it first came out. I will never forget when I was a kid and I was watching wrestling and, you know, SummerSlam 2001, during the whole invasion angle. For those of you who watch wrestling, I remember first hearing Let the Bodies Hit the Floor, and I just thought, holy shit, this song is so fucking brutal, so fucking awesome. And ironically enough, that was the most popular song on this album, and it was an anthem. It was a kick-ass anthem, but it was definitely the most overrated song, and it was definitely probably, like, compared to the rest of the album, like from Mute, Pity, Sermon, those are just like my top 3 songs off this album. I mean, you know, this album was just excellent from top to bottom. But, like, in my opinion, my favorite songs have to be Mute, Pity, and Sermon. Sermon just being a song that I can completely relate to. It talks about, you know, atheism, agnostic beliefs and stuff like that. Should I believe in God? Where was God? You know, when, he was going through shit. Dave Williams, he does a great job. He's a great front man, and it's fucking sad, he left this planet so early. May he rest in peace. He was a great vocalist, great front man, great lead singer. And, this was definitely Drowning Pool's best album by far. I don't give a shit what anyone says. Definitely their best album. I mean, they got what's his name from Soil to be their new frontman. I keep forgetting his name, but this album was just their best. I mean, it was true late 90s, early 2000s new metal right here. It was just fucking awesome. I mean, Tearaway, I remember that being the theme song for WrestleMania 18, and God, I loved that song so much. I mean, like, this whole album was just great, and there's so many songs I could personally relate to. And actually, I'm kind of an idiot myself for not probably putting this album higher on the list. But to me, this is just like, literally, I'm not even really paying attention to this countdown. This is just my top 10 favorite bands. I should have put this album higher on the list because, I mean, this album is just great. It was definitely my favorite Drowning Pool album. I can't even speak anymore. I mean, even the solos in Tearaway like were fucking epic. The solos, the riffs. I mean, this was just a great album, bar none, bar none. This was just excellent album, and I yeah, I don't know why I put this. I'm literally not even. I don't even know what I'm doing. I didn't even plan this video out, but this album is just great. Um, Next on the list is one of my favorite bands, a very underrated band right here. Great alternative metal, Catatonia, Death and Kings. This is just one of my favorite albums. Just one of my favorite alternative metal albums. It's got like a hint of doom metal in it, but it's, to me, most of the songs are just very, 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 very alternative sounding, much more alternative sounding. Like even like Dead Letters, The Parting, just like a lot of songs on this album were just very much more on the alternative side. But this was just a great album. I mean, it was just one of those laid back, albums that you could just like really get into. Um, you know, I mean, there's so many great songs. I love Buildings. That was just another. I mean, and the one you are looking for is not here. That's probably one of my favorites. What's her name? She does a duet on this song, and it's just really, it's just really, it's really good. I forget her name. I'm not good with names. There's so many but I'm not good with names. But this is just such a great album. You know, I literally can't recommend it enough. Like if you're into like alternative metal, if you're into, I definitely recommend listening to Catatonia, listening to Ghost Brigade, you know, bands like that. But I definitely recommend listening to this album because this is just really fucking really good. There's a lot of laid back songs. There's some heavier songs. There's a lot of deeper songs. I definitely recommend listening to this album. It's really fucking good. And that's it. I mean, just really listen to this album. It's really good. All right, next album on the list is Chimera's Resurrection album. Now, I remember when I first heard this album, I was like, holy shit. Because this was the album where Chimera went straight fucking groove metal. It was borderline, to me, in my opinion, it was borderline death metal. I mean, this was like really, this was some aggressive, like, dark stuff. Like, I can't even, oh my god, this album was just so, like, the songs on this album, Mark Hunter, he is like one of the most talented vocalists in all of metal. I mean, he really knows how to, like, really. I mean, you had Rob Arnold, fucking, like, he was brutal as shit on the guitars. I can't stress enough how good this album was. I mean, I remember when this album first came out back in 2007. I was working as a lifeguard at the time, and I was just like, literally, this was like one of the first albums I bought with my paycheck that summer. Like when I first got paid that summer, this was like one of the first albums. Like this was the first album I got, like that summer. Well, not like, it's not the first album I ever got, but like the first, like, because I brought like, a few albums that summer, but this one was just like Chimera. Like this is when Chimera like straight up became my favorite band, like my favorite metal band. And it's just sad that they broke up. But and I'm gonna give you a hint. This is not the only Chimera album on this list, but it's definitely, this was just, I mean, from Blackheart to Pleasure and Pain, to Six, to just so many great songs. Needle, so many great songs on this fucking album. I mean, this was just such a brutal fucking album. This was just amazing. I mean, this, like, prior to this, Chimera was, they were groove metal, but they had a lot of new metal influence in them, especially with, like, their self-titled album and, the Impossibility of Reason album, had a lot of very, new metal influences, especially with songs like Down Again, which I loved. I thought Down Again was a great song, one of my favorite Chimera songs. But great album. I can't stress it enough. I mean, definitely pick it up if you're into, like, really aggressive, like, groove metal, metalcore. Definitely check this album out. That's enough said. I mean, I can't even stress this album enough. All right, next album on the list is Slipknot's The Gray Chapter. And this album came out recently. It came out last year. Barely even last year. It's the fall of last year, autumn of last year. And around, like, November, around Thanksgiving time. I forget the date. But, I remember I was about to pre-order this album, but I was on a budget. Didn't get paid yet. So I said, fuck it. I'm just going to go to Best Buy. Day comes out, they didn't have it, they didn't fucking put it on the shelves yet, and so then I'm like, okay, let me tell you the story. This is a funny story. Well, it's not a funny story, but I'm doing the graveyard shift, so, and this is before I got my car, so I'm taking the bus all the way up to Best Buy, up on Central Avenue in Yonkers, and I'm looking for this album. Nobody put it on the shelf yet. Nobody put it on the fucking shelf yet. And, basically, I'm like, really, because I'm literally, because I've heard some of the songs on it. I've heard the negative one. I've heard a few of the other songs on this album. Songs I can't even pronounce. Sarcasticroft, AOV, and I'm thinking, like, this is going to be a really fucking brutal album. And it is fucking excellent. In my opinion, it's the best album of 2014. But I am biased. I am a Slipknot fanatic. I am a fucking maggot at heart. So, and there was a lot of good albums in 2014. Ghost Brigade's 4. Suicide Silence's new album, their first album with Eddie as their new vocalist without Mitch Lucker. You Can't Stop Me, which was fucking underrated as hell. Very good album. But this was definitely my favorite album of 2014. As a matter of fact, aside from The Devil and I and Custer, which was two songs I did not like off of this album, I think the entire album was excellent. I thought this is definitely, I'm going to be honest with you. Oh shit, I forgot to tell the story. Okay, so they didn't put the albums on the floor. I'm talking to the manager. I was like, hey, did you guys get Slipknot's new Gray Chapter in yet? And then he was like, oh, let me check. So he goes in the back, and he doesn't come out for, like, I'm literally waiting there like 10 minutes. So I go over to the PlayStation 4. I'm playing that a little bit. I look at the game section. I go check out some of the DVDs, just for a little bit. Then I go back. I'm looking for the guy. It's 10 minutes, and I literally have to start my shift in about I have to start my shift in basically 20 minutes. My job is down the block from Best Buy, so I can easily, like, walk there. But, he's, like, still in the back, and I'm waiting for him. I don't see him at all. And so I literally go to another person, and I'm asking, like, hey, did you get the Gray Chapter in yet? And then she goes in the back, and she's looking for it. So you got two people looking in the back for it. No one comes out. So like after 10 minutes, I spend like 15 minutes in there. And then after that, I just say, fuck it. I have to leave. I have to go to work. So, I leave, um, and I come back the next day, the very next day. Um, because the next day I'm opening. So I get out early. I get out around 3 o'clock. So before I take the bus to go home, I just walk right down to Best Buy. And, all of a sudden, Slipknot everywhere. Like, everywhere. Well, not everywhere, but, like, literally, it's like new releases. And this was, like, a day where, like, right after it was supposed to come out. I guess it's because people are into, like, the whole iTunes and shit now. So everyone's used to, like, downloading albums and stuff like that. But, like, Slipknot, like, I remember, like, it was right next to, like, the movie section. It was right next to, like, new albums that had came out recently, which I wasn't really paying attention to any of those. But I literally, like, I saw Slipknot's album, The Great Chapter, and there was, like, a whole shitload. Like, literally, like, nobody had bought them yet. And so I purchased my copy, and then I regret it a day later, because I go back a day later, because I'm literally just, again, wasting time before my shift starts. And, I'm looking at DVDs. The next day I go in, and this is like, around noonish, because the next day, after that day, I'm closing again. I'm doing graveyard shift again. And, when I'm fucking there at noon, all the Slipknot albums were sold out. All of them were sold out. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like there was only one left of the special edition that comes with the DVD bonus, which I didn't get, and I kind of regret not getting it. I should have got that one instead of mine, which was the regular standard edition. But yeah, I was shocked, because they just had like a whole shitload of them the day before, and then the next day they're all sold out. Like there's like one left of the special edition. That's it. Like all the albums I just saw the previous day were all gone. And I was looking like all over in the metal section to see like, oh, did they move them or something or what? And then, basically, and I probably should have asked one of the guys who worked there, but I personally they were sold out. I mean, unless they literally took them off the shelves, which why would they do that? Because, they had already put them out on the shelves, and there was like one CD left, so they forgot one album to take off the shelf. So, and it just made me think like, wow, I never knew, like, I know Slipknot's popular in metal, but I had no idea that it would like all those copies would be gone in a day. So, that was just, I was shocked. So, but yeah, this did make the list. It's a fucking great album. Aside from Custer and fucking that song, Dead and I forgot. I'm sorry, I've fucking just lost track right now. But yeah, like aside from those two songs, this album is fucking excellent. It's their best album since Iowa, in my opinion. It's much better than Volume 3. It's much better than All Hope Is Gone, which to me was a little bit of a letdown. But, yeah, best album since, well, fuck. I mean, I already gave it away. But yeah, great album. Definitely pick it up if you're a Slipknot fan. Or if you're a fan of, like, really good alternative and new metal, really aggressive, yeah. Definitely pick it up. Alright, and my next album is from a band that I actually just got into recently, Allegiant, Elements of the Infinite. And this album is fucking just great. This is excellent melodic death metal right here. If you're into if you're into like Children of Bodom, if you're into like really good melodic death metal, I would definitely give this band a shot. This is a very underrated band right here. This album was excellent. I also love Power Shifter, another album I listened to this and Power Shifter, and I have to say this is definitely my favorite of the two, but I love both albums. I recently just got Elements of the Infinite, and it's fucking great. Um, so many Biomech. There's so many great songs on this album. Um, but I mean, if you're into like really good melodic death metal, I definitely recommend picking it up, checking it out. The whole CD is great. I would say the whole CD is just great, perfect. I don't want to say perfect, but it's really great shit right here. This is good stuff right here. Um, and next on the list, um, we're kind of winding down here. Um, yeah, we're already at the final two. And the next album is going to be another Chimera album, Crown of Phantoms. And this is the final album from Chimera. And this is the first album in which Rob Arnold is no longer a part of the band. As a matter of fact, they have like a completely new lineup. I keep forgetting their names. But, Mark Hunter, he's still on as the vocalist. He's still the front man. And I have to say, this is hands down my favorite Chimera album. Period. My favorite Chimera album. I mean, they went out with a fucking bang. I mean, seriously, they went out with a fucking bang. This is perfection right here. I mean, I literally, this is perfection right here. I mean, I'm looking at the album right now, and there's so many great songs on this album. I can't even pick one. I mean, it's really that good. It really is that fucking good. I mean, so many, from Wrapped in Violence, from there's just so many great songs. I can't even pick like a favorite song. The Machine, No Mercy. That was like their first single. They made a video for that. They had a music video for that, which was pretty cool. Not as good as like old past Chimera music videos, but still good. Plastic Wonderland. I would probably say that I despise Plastic Wonderland, The Machine, and Wrapped in Violence are my favorite songs off this album. But it just really is fucking brutal. This is like Chimera, like they really. This is just my favorite Chimera album. Period. I mean, I love Resurrection. I love The Age of Hell. The Infection was really good too. But the Infection was just like too, I don't know, it wasn't, it just felt, it didn't have like anything new. The Infection didn't have anything new. That was probably one of my least, I would say, well, no, actually the self-titled album was probably one of my least favorite albums. But Infection, it was good, it was okay, but I just love Resurrection, Crown of Phantoms, and The Age of Hell, which was very underrated. I don't know why The Age of Hell gets a lot of hate. That was a really good album, but that's just my opinion. Whatever. But I mean, this is definitely one of my favorite Chimera albums. I keep forgetting the guy who replaced Rob Arnold as the guitarist on this album. I keep forgetting his name, but this was just really good. I mean, period. This was, I mean, I don't even, words can't even describe how good this album was. I definitely, if you've never listened to it, it came out, almost 2 years ago now, back in 2013. And, the album, the art, the art cover is just, I love the album art cover right here. I mean, it's just, it looks so like, it's just like, what's the word? It just reminds me of like the ancient, like ancient times and stuff. Like the artwork is just really cool. It also, when I got my copy, it came with a poster, and a T-shirt because I pre-ordered this album because I was really stoked. Chimera was my favorite metal band, and I'm really pissed off that they broke up. But I would say like Chimera and Slipknot are like just my two favorite bands, like as far as metal. So great album. I can't even stress it enough. Get it. Fucking buy this album. Buy it. And number one, last but not least, number one favorite album of all time, and I was just listening to it in the car. Yes, it is another Slipknot album, and I'm pretty sure you guys can guess what it is. Yeah, it's Iowa. I mean, I know this was kind of predictable, but I don't give a fuck. I love this album. This was, when I said earlier on in the video that Rob Zombie's Hillbilly Deluxe album got me into metal, this album right here, like, really got me into metal. Like, literally, this is true new metal, almost meets death metal right here. I mean, this was just amazing. This was just absolutely amazing. This my favorite Slipknot album, and my favorite metal album. I mean, because it was just really hard to draw up this and Chimera's Crown of Phantoms album, because I just really love that album a lot, and I really did love The Great Chapter. It was I'm telling you, this entire list was just really hard to do. I mean, it really was. I mean, and I might even update it later, if my opinions change, but I remember this album so vividly. Like, this came out like right after September, was it before or after September 11th? Well, I got this album right after September 11th because I was like, at that point, I was kind of depressed. I was really trying to get into the High School of Art and Design in Manhattan. And, long story short, I'm not going to tell you my life story, but, I really, like, this album right here was just fucking biblical. There's no really funny story about when I first got this album. Like, I just remember going into Kmart and buying it. The Kmart that's, like a few blocks down from, where I used to live. And, I just bought it and was just like, wow, this is shit. This is fucking brutal as hell. Like, this is just, and I've heard Corey Taylor, I've heard Mick Thompson, Clown, Sean, a few other people like say like how this was like one of their like darkest times when they made this album. They were going through like a really depressing, rough time. Like, they were like going through a real dark time in their lives when they made this album, and it shows by listening to this album. This is definitely like so many. I can't even. This whole album from top to bottom is excellent. I mean, this whole album, like fucking Disaster Piece, the Heretic Anthem, People Equal Shit, The Shape. I mean, there's so many great songs in this album. New Abortion, like, I can't even. Oh my god, every song on this album is great. I mean, I can't even. Honestly, I can't even choose which song I like. I would probably have to say my favorite songs off this album are probably The Shape and Skin Ticket. And, My Plague as well. I really love My Plague and Left Behind. I really love those. This entire album is just really good. But I remember, like, when I first got this album, I was, like, listening to People Equal Shit over and over again. That was a really fucking brutal anthem. I love New Abortion, but I was just listening to, like, Skin Ticket, The Shape, It was so many songs I was just listening to over and over again. Yeah, I remember um, they came out with a Resident Evil music video for the first ever Resident Evil live action movie, which sucked. But they made a 'cause I think My Plague was also on the Resident Evil soundtrack. I'm not sure. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was. But I literally just literally this entire album was just. I was actually listening to it the other day just to, you know, listen to like some old school Slipknot, old school fucking metal, and I really, and the album cover that's on that I have on the screen is actually not the album cover I have. I actually have the black album cover, the darker one with the goat. Um, because this was the one that I remember getting. I mean, I don't remember having a white. I don't know. I guess some did, some didn't. But that's not the album cover that I have on the picture. I didn't. That's actually not the one that I currently own. But it's excellent album. Excellent album. Corey Taylor. He just proved his voice really. I think compared to their self-titled album, their debut album, yeah, I think he just improved a lot. Not that he wasn't good on the original, their debut album, Slipknot, but that album was a really great one too. I loved it, but this was definitely the one that just really got me. And this was the first time I ever listened to Slipknot. Period. This album has a lot of nostalgia for me. So and it's still a great album to this day. It's one of my personal favorites. So on that note, I hope you guys enjoyed the top 10 list. What are your favorite metal albums? What are your favorite rock metal albums? Albums in general. Leave a comment, rate, subscribe, all that good shit. Hope you enjoyed the video, and later.